What if I told you that the key to true freedom isn't in gaining acceptance, but in letting go of the need for it? You were not put on this earth to seek the approval of others. Your value is not defined by the opinions of those around you. It's not determined by their praise or their criticism. It's not measured by how many people like you, admire you, or agree with you. Your worth is not up for debate because it's not tied to anything external. It exists within you, complete and unshakable. From the moment you begin to measure yourself by what others think, you hand over control of your life. You give them the power to decide how you feel about yourself, how you view your own existence, and what you believe you're capable of. Approval becomes a cage, and you become a prisoner to the constant need to satisfy someone else's expectations. You start living for their applause rather than your own peace. You start building your identity on shaky ground. But you are not here to live according to someone else's script. You are not here to shape yourself into what others want you to be. You are here to be the fullest expression of who you truly are. The truth is, you could receive endless praise and still feel empty inside. You could be admired by countless people and still not feel whole. Because external validation is a fragile thing, it comes and goes with the changing winds of human nature. If your sense of worth is tied to something so fleeting, you will always be at the mercy of others. Think about how many times you've held yourself back because you were afraid of what someone might think. How many times have you sacrificed your authenticity just to avoid criticism? How many times have you stayed silent when you wanted to speak, or followed the crowd when you knew you were meant to walk a different path? Every time you do this, you give away a piece of your power. You shrink yourself to fit into someone else's mold. You become a version of yourself that is built on fear rather than truth. But your value is not tied to their opinions. It's not measured by how many people approve of you or how many people criticize you. If you base your self-worth on other people's approval, you'll live in a constant state of anxiety because human approval is inconsistent. One moment you're celebrated, the next you're ignored. One moment you're admired, the next you're criticized. If you let this determine how you feel about yourself, you will always be chasing after a moving target. You were not made to be controlled by the ever-changing opinions of others. You were not made to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's comfort zone. You were made to be whole, independent, and strong in your identity. When you realize that your value comes from within, you stop seeking permission to be yourself. You stop asking for validation to walk your own path. You stop looking for approval to feel at peace. When you detach from the need to be liked, you become free. You no longer feel the pressure to shape your words and actions to meet someone else's expectations. You are no longer weighed down by the need to please others. You begin to speak with clarity and conviction because you are no longer worried about how your words will be received. You begin to make decisions based on what aligns with your values rather than what will earn the least amount of criticism. You are not responsible for how others perceive you. You are only responsible for staying true to yourself. You could be the most compassionate, thoughtful, and authentic version of yourself, and still, someone will find a reason to misunderstand you. Someone will find a reason to criticize you. That's not a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of their own lens. People see you through the filter of their own experiences, insecurities, and limitations. Their opinion of you says more about them than it does about you. You cannot control how others perceive you, but you can control how you respond to it. You can choose to let go of the need to correct every misunderstanding. You can choose to release the desire to explain yourself to those who are determined not to understand. You can choose to remain grounded in who you are, even when others misjudge you. That is where strength lies. not in changing how people see you, but in being unshakable regardless of how they see you. Stop adjusting yourself to fit into spaces that were not built for you. Stop changing your tone, your personality, your goals, just to make others comfortable. Stop watering yourself down to avoid criticism. If someone cannot handle the fullness of who you are, that is not your burden to carry. You are not responsible for their comfort. You are responsible for your own peace. When you live authentically, you will attract those who are aligned with your truth and repel those who aren't. That is not rejection, it's alignment. You have nothing to prove to anyone. You are not here to convince others of your worth. You don't need their permission to feel confident. You don't need their validation to know that you matter. You already matter. Your existence is enough. Your presence is enough. Your voice is enough. Stop seeking what you already possess. When you stop seeking external validation, you become immune to both praise and criticism. You stop craving applause, and you stop fearing judgment. You rise above the noise because you realize it doesn't define you. If someone praises you, it's not because you're more valuable. It's because they see something in you that resonates with them. If someone criticizes you, it's not because you've lost value. It's because they are projecting their own insecurities onto you. Neither scenario has anything to do with your intrinsic worth. Your worth is not up for negotiation. It's not tied to the number of people who agree with you. It's not based on how many people like you or how many people follow you. It's not tied to how much recognition you receive or how many people acknowledge your success. True confidence comes from knowing that none of these things make you more or less valuable. Freedom comes when you stop measuring yourself by the reactions of others. When you realize that your value is not affected by praise or criticism, you stop being controlled by the fear of rejection. You begin to act boldly, speak with clarity, and live unapologetically. You trust yourself enough to know that you don't need someone else's approval to be at peace. People may misunderstand you. They may judge you. They may project their insecurities onto you. That's not your concern. Your concern is staying aligned with your own truth. Your concern is showing up as your authentic self, even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. Your concern is walking your own path with integrity, even when others try to pull you off course. Stop waiting for someone to tell you that you are enough. Stop looking for permission to be yourself. You already have everything you need. Your value is not earned, it's inherent. It cannot be taken away because it was never given to you by others in the first place. You don't need to be liked to be whole. You don't need to be understood to be at peace. You don't need to be admired to know that you are enough. The day you stop seeking external validation is the day you find true peace. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself. You no longer shrink yourself to avoid criticism. You no longer rely on the approval of others to feel worthy. You walk through life with quiet confidence, because you know that your value is not negotiable. It's not dependent on human opinion. It's rooted in something deeper, something eternal. You don't need anyone's approval to live freely. You don't need their praise to feel whole. Your worth is not defined by what others think of you. It's defined by who you are, and that is enough. Freedom begins the moment you stop seeking permission to exist, the moment you stop chasing approval and start living in alignment with your truth. External validation is a prison, a subtle but powerful trap that keeps you bound to the shifting opinions of others. It's the quiet hand that shapes your decisions, adjusts your words, and dims your light to avoid discomfort. It creates the illusion that your worth is something you must earn, rather than something that already exists within you. But the truth is, you were not created to live according to someone else's standard. You were not made to shrink yourself to fit into the fragile mold of public opinion. You were designed to live freely, and that freedom only comes when you stop needing others to confirm your value. The need for approval is wired deeply into human nature. From an early age, you are conditioned to seek acceptance. You're taught that praise means you're doing well, and criticism means you've failed. You're rewarded for conformity and punished for standing out. Slowly, without even realizing it, you begin to shape yourself based on the reactions of those around you. You start to measure your worth by how much recognition you receive, how much admiration you attract, and how little criticism you face. This is where the trap begins. Tying your value to something you cannot control. People's opinions are not stable. They shift with their moods, their insecurities, and their experiences. What one person admires, another will criticize. What one person celebrates, another will reject. If your sense of peace is dependent on something so unstable, you will live in a constant state of unease. You will feel secure one day and worthless the next, all because you have given others control over how you feel about yourself. That is not freedom. That is bondage. Real freedom comes when you realize that other people's opinions are none of your concern. Their praise doesn't make you more valuable, and their criticism doesn't make you less. When you let go of the need to be admired, you stop fearing rejection. You stop shaping yourself to meet someone else's expectations. You stop adjusting your voice to avoid conflict or seeking reassurance to feel whole. You begin to trust your own judgment, knowing that your value does not rise or fall based on how others perceive you. You cannot please everyone. No matter how carefully you tread, someone will disagree with you. No matter how kind you are, someone will misjudge your intentions. No matter how much you try to accommodate others, someone will feel that you're not enough. If you live your life trying to avoid disapproval, you will live a life of exhaustion and emptiness. You will become a diluted version of yourself, harmless but unfulfilled. You were not made to be easily digestible. You were made to stand firmly in your truth, even when it makes others uncomfortable. Think about how much of your life has been shaped by the fear of judgment. How many choices have you made based on what would be easiest to explain to others? How many opportunities have you passed up because you were afraid of being criticized? How many times have you changed your words, your appearance, your goals, just to avoid standing out? Every time you seek approval, you reinforce the idea that your value is determined by others. And the more you give that power away, the weaker you become. Letting go of external validation is not about becoming indifferent. It's about becoming secure. It's not about rejecting connection. It's about building connection from a place of strength rather than need. When you no longer need someone's approval to feel whole, you engage with others more authentically. You speak your truth without the fear of being misunderstood. You make decisions based on your own values rather than the pressure to conform. You stop feeling the need to explain yourself to those who are determined not to understand. When you detach from external validation, you become immune to manipulation. People can no longer control you with praise or threaten you with rejection. You stop seeking applause because you no longer need it to feel valuable. You stop fearing criticism because it no longer defines you. You become solid, unshakable. And that strength allows you to move through life with clarity and confidence. Freedom comes when you understand that no one else is responsible for your sense of peace. If someone approves of you, that's their choice. If someone disapproves of you, that's also their choice. Neither reaction changes who you are. You are not more valuable when someone admires you, and you are not less valuable when someone criticizes you. When you release the need for external validation, you take back control of your life. You stop trying to manage other people's perceptions. You focus instead on staying aligned with your own truth. Many people live their entire lives chasing approval. They climb the corporate ladder not because they love the work, but because they want to be recognized. They pursue relationships not because they feel connected, but because they don't want to be alone. They buy things not because they need them, but because they want to be seen as successful. They shape their entire identity around what they believe will make them acceptable to others. But even when they achieve everything they thought they needed, they still feel empty. Because external validation is a bottomless pit, it will never be enough. You could receive endless praise and still feel insecure. You could be admired by countless people and still feel hollow. Because no amount of recognition will make you feel whole if you don't already believe in your own value. External validation cannot fill the void created by self-doubt. It may quiet the noise for a moment, but it will not bring you lasting peace. Peace comes when you stop seeking permission to be yourself. The irony is that when you stop seeking validation, you become more powerful. You become magnetic. Not because you are trying to impress others, but because you are unapologetically yourself. People are drawn to authenticity, even when they don't understand it. When you walk through life without the need for approval, you become untouchable. Praise no longer lifts you, and criticism no longer crushes you. You become steady, calm in the face of chaos, secure even when others doubt you. Freedom is not the absence of criticism. It's the absence of needing to avoid it. Freedom is not found in being admired. It's found in not needing admiration to feel whole. When you let go of the need for external validation, you reclaim your power. You begin to act from a place of strength rather than fear. You become more honest, more creative, more alive. Because you are no longer weighed down by the need to be accepted. You are not here to be liked. You are not here to meet someone else's standard of success. You are not here to fit into a mold that was never made for you. You are here to live fully, to express your truth boldly, to create without apology. If that makes others uncomfortable, that's not your problem. If it means you are misunderstood, that's not your concern. Your responsibility is not to make others comfortable. It's to stay true to yourself. When you release the need for approval, you stop hesitating. You stop waiting for someone to tell you it's okay to pursue your dreams. You stop holding back your voice because you're afraid of how it will be received. You begin to act with clarity and conviction because you trust yourself more than you trust the crowd. You understand that you don't need to be liked to be at peace. You need to be aligned. Freedom comes when you realize that your value is not negotiable. It's not something others can give you or take away. You were valuable the moment you took your first breath, and nothing has changed since. When you stop chasing validation, you stop living in reaction to the world around you. You stop adjusting yourself to avoid rejection. You stop needing to be seen to feel whole. You become grounded. Not because everyone approves of you, but because you no longer need them to. That is real freedom. And it's yours the moment you choose to stop looking outward for what has always existed within you. Standing alone is not a sign that you've lost your way. It's proof that you've found it. It's easy to follow the crowd, to blend in, to say what others expect you to say, and do what others expect you to do. But true strength lies in standing firm when the crowd moves in a different direction. It takes courage to walk alone when others choose the easier path of acceptance. Strength is not found in the approval of others. It's found in the quiet confidence of knowing who you are, even when no one else understands it. Most people are terrified of standing alone because they fear rejection. They fear being misunderstood or abandoned. So they conform. They silence their true thoughts and adjust their actions to match the expectations of the group. They seek comfort in numbers because being part of a group feels safer than standing out. But that safety is an illusion. When you attach your sense of self to the acceptance of others, you become fragile. You are only as stable as their approval, only as confident as their praise, and the moment they turn on you, you crumble. That is not strength, that is dependence. To stand alone is to reclaim your power. It is to say, I am enough, even if no one else stands with me. It is to trust your judgment, even when others disagree. It is to know that your value is not measured by the number of people who approve of you, but by the strength of your conviction. Standing alone means choosing truth over comfort, integrity over popularity. It means resisting the urge to conform when you know the path forward requires you to break away from the crowd. Many people confuse standing alone with isolation or weakness. They think that if you are walking alone, it means you are doing something wrong. But that is not true. The road to greatness is not a crowded one. The most meaningful decisions you will ever make will often require you to step away from the group. Growth requires solitude. Strength requires clarity. And clarity only comes when you are no longer distracted by the noise of other people's expectations. The world teaches you that strength comes from numbers, that if you are strong. But real strength is measured in the moments when you have no support. When you make the hard decision even though others question you. When you refuse to compromise your values even when it costs you relationships. When you hold your ground even when you are the only one standing there. That is strength. Not the ability to gain acceptance, but the ability to remain whole without it. Standing alone does not mean you are disconnected. It means you have stopped relying on external validation to define you. It means you have reached a place where you trust yourself enough to know that even if the crowd leaves you, you will be fine. You are not rejecting connection, you are rejecting dependence. You are not isolating yourself, you are freeing yourself from the need for approval. That freedom gives you the strength to engage with others more authentically, because when you no longer need others to validate you, you can love them without fear. There is a certain peace that comes with standing alone. It's not the peace of being accepted. It's the peace of knowing that acceptance is not necessary. It's the confidence of knowing that you are enough as you are, without modification, without adjustment. When you stand alone, you stop editing yourself to avoid criticism. You stop filtering your words to gain approval. You speak with clarity and act with integrity because you are no longer shaped by the shifting opinions of those around you. Standing alone means you are no longer held hostage by the fear of rejection. You are no longer walking on eggshells, trying to avoid saying the wrong thing or making the wrong move. You stop trying to predict how others will react, and you stop adjusting yourself to avoid discomfort. You let go of the need to manage how others perceive you. You stop apologizing for who you are, and you stop explaining yourself to those who are determined not to understand you. That is true strength. The ability to remain steady even when others misunderstand you. People will try to make you doubt yourself. They will question your choices and criticize your decisions. They will tell you that you are wrong because your path does not match theirs. They will try to make you feel small because your strength threatens their comfort. But their opinions are not your foundation. Their doubt does not weaken you. You are not defined by their understanding. You are defined by your willingness to remain true to yourself, even when the world pushes back. Strength is not loud. It is not forceful. True strength is quiet and unshakable. It's the ability to stand in silence when others are shouting. It's the ability to trust yourself when others are doubting you. It's the ability to remain steady when the storm comes. Strength is not about dominance, it's about resilience. It's about the ability to remain whole even when others misunderstand you, reject you, or abandon you. Standing alone means you are no longer chasing acceptance. You are no longer measuring your worth by how many people stand beside you. You stop counting likes, stop seeking recognition, stop adjusting your values to match someone else's comfort. You stop searching for a place to fit in because you have already made peace with standing apart. That peace makes you dangerous, not because you are aggressive, but because you are untouchable. The world cannot manipulate someone who no longer seeks its approval. You will face moments when standing alone feels unbearable. You will question yourself when the silence becomes too loud. You will wonder if you've made a mistake when others walk away. But strength is forged in those moments. The discomfort of standing alone teaches you that you are more resilient than you realized. It shows you that you can withstand the weight of solitude without losing yourself. And once you've learned that, you are free. Freedom comes when you stop fearing the loss of acceptance. When you realize that rejection is not fatal and criticism is not defining, you become unstoppable. You start making decisions based on what is right rather than what is popular. You begin to pursue truth instead of comfort. You stop compromising your integrity for the sake of inclusion. And the more you lean into that strength, the more whole you become. Standing alone gives you clarity. It allows you to hear your own voice above the noise of the crowd. It helps you distinguish between your truth and the expectations imposed upon you. It teaches you that strength is not in how many people agree with you, it's in your ability to remain aligned with your principles, even when no one else understands them. The world will try to convince you that standing alone means you have failed, that if you are not surrounded by admiration and approval, you must be wrong. But the opposite is true. Standing alone means you have found something that others have not yet discovered, the strength to be whole without external reinforcement. It means you have stopped asking for permission to exist, stopped waiting for others to validate your choices, stopped seeking acceptance to feel valuable. You were not made to blend in. You were not designed to follow the crowd. You were made to create, to lead, to speak your truth, even when it's unpopular. That kind of strength will isolate you at times. But isolation is not weakness, it's refinement. It's the process by which you become stronger, clearer, more grounded. Standing alone is not comfortable, but it is necessary. It's the price of authenticity. It's the cost of living a life true to yourself rather than a life engineered to please others. Strength is not about how many people walk with you. It's about your willingness to keep walking even when no one else follows. You don't need to be understood to be whole. You don't need to be accepted to be at peace. You don't need to be admired to feel valuable. Strength is found in the quiet confidence that you are enough as you are. That confidence makes you unshakable. It makes you immune to rejection. It gives you the freedom to live boldly, speak honestly, and stand firmly, even when you are standing alone. When you stop needing the world's approval, you become untouchable. Because strength isn't found in how others see you, but in knowing who you are, even when no one else understands.